Our next speaker, Donna Zurcher, Managing Partner at Instinctif Partners, is going to talk about how you can build your own academy to develop that talent and to make sure that they've got the skills to compete in this integrated world. So please join me in welcoming Donna to the stage. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon. It's really interesting. I didn't really know what I was going to say to start this off, but it's interesting that what's come out of this morning is as PR grows, the message has not changed. I've been around for a very long time, and every year it's the same thing. We can't find talent, we can't find talent, we can't find talent. I'm sorry, it's like an old gramophone record. It just goes on, and I'm sure it's the same in every country. And as we get more diversified, and as the industry, what we're doing grows and grows and grows, we have to start training people. I'm sure there's people here who work for big organizations, which I used to, that have really good training programs. But whatever we're doing, we can't be doing it well enough. So I don't think we can become complacent. We have to continually keep training people and training them in how we do things and how we're going to move forward. I'm sure you've all seen this. How often do we hear it? This call being maybe monitored for training purposes. I'm sure some of us are dubious of whatever happens to those tapes or DVDs, whatever they're doing. But if it is, it means that training is happening in every single aspect of our lives, and it's consistently changing. Even the Queen of England said in 1992 in a documentary, she said, it's all to do with training. You can do a lot if you're properly trained. She was probably trained from the time she opened her first mouth, and look at her now, she's 80-odd and still doing amazing work. But it was the training that got her through. So I think to succeed in business today, the people we need, they have to have the right skills, yes. They have to have the knowledge, yes. They have to have instinctive, they have to have flexibility. I love the twinkle in the eye. I think we've all got to have a twinkle in our eye. Otherwise, I think we would literally drown with what we do on a daily basis. They also got to be willing to change. And change, we've heard this morning, is what everything's happening all the time. And to respond to the latest trends and products and services and attitudes of the day. They say there's no such thing as a badly trained dog. They always say it's the owners. And it's always the owners. If you go to a dog training class, it's the owners who are trained. They say that about children, but that's another issue, so I won't touch on that. If you want to be a principal ballerina, it's years and years of training. If you want to be a boxer, and I'm steering clear of the rugby for those who are interested, then again, it's a huge amount of training, and it just takes a lot of will to do this. Or indeed, a career in public relations. It's important to have the right training in place. So what do we need? Many of us have been in this business long enough to know the benefits of training, and the training what it can bring both to employees and to our business. But just to recap, let's take a brief look at what they are. Skills and insights. It requires the ability to to just make their roles better, the abilities to perform in their current roles, take on new tasks, new challenges, understand what they're going to do on a day-to-day basis, understand why they're doing it. And I think at the end of the day, become smarter. The more smarter we are, the more efficient we become, and thinking before we act makes better decisions. That, again, I think, makes motivated and happy people, and that was brought on this morning, that if we create an environment that is happy and comfortable, it does definitely bring out security. And security brings out resourcefulness. I think if people are secure, they're not frightened to go the extra mile and do things. So they can find better and smarter ways and do things. And what does it mean for the employer? Improved effectiveness. That's what I said earlier. I mean, it really is important. Got to find my notes. I think we also talked this morning about flexibility, change, and that can-do attitude. That whole thing about PR, it is a can-do attitude. I think one of the things why we're all in this business is there's very rarely a day that's the same. Every day is different. Clients bring different skills, different things to us, and we have different challenges every day. And the more people we can get with that can-do attitude, with different range of skills, makes our industry more exciting and more professional. I think also it's a greater work environment, which we covered, which covers innovation, it's fair, and all those sort of things. And I think we have to grow our superstars And this is why I'm going to just talk briefly on how we started, how we retain our talent. And at the bottom line, if you can keep and grow your staff, if you can keep your clients that way, because unless the client's unhappy, they hate change. You can attract new and fabulous staff, and you do keep your recruitment bay. What's stopping us? We discussed that this morning. We're always too busy. Always the clients come first. There's always too much work. Value for money? Oh, you get it. It's expensive. Why do we need it? How good is it? What is it going to do for the bottom line? There's never any spare money. I'll do it when necessary. When is necessary? You know, it's how long is a piece of string? Management buy-in. I think this is when we started, and I'll take you through how we started the academy. That was some of the hardest things to do, is to get the management to buy in. Because what happened in our business was a lot of the people who were in the very senior positions had literally learnt on the job. They'd learnt all the way up through. So by the time they were managing partners, they actually hadn't got actually the training that I believe nowadays we have to have it in place. And a bit like Colin, I'd never make an internship these days. My background does not do what we do now to put our interns through, and what Fred discussed this morning. So how are we as an industry committed to training? Well, it's interesting because they sent out a research last week, which I know some of you did reply, which was really good, thank you. And it asked if academies were important. 57% said, yes, I do. They play a critical role. 29% said, I think PR academies will become increasingly important. 14% said, I'm not convinced. And nobody said, no, training's not important. So it obviously is a place to go. So what did we do? We had a new brand. We decided, well, we're going to launch an academy. So it sounded really good. We said we're going to do it as Academy of Excellence, so that's great. Now, please bear in mind that we're starting from a zero base. We suddenly go berserk. We not only decide to do some training, we take it to the nth degree, had no idea how we were going to start it. But the first thing we did was to look across all our levels of management and see what was needed. And the first thing we, funny enough, did was look at all the appraisals that we'd done over the last couple of years. And believe it or not, in all those appraisals, there was, I want training, I want training, I want training. This is what I want on training. This is how I want training. And they all got filed in the HR department. Wonderful. So we dug them all up. We looked at them. And then what we decided to do was we'd take the senior people, who some of them had never been on a training course, and put them through quite an intensive day of training so they could actually see how they benefit, or we hope they would anyway, how they would benefit. And that's what we did. And so we got their buy-in right from the beginning, because if you don't have the senior buy-in, you're not going to get it through. So we recognized that that's what we had to do to start it. And then, of course, we looked at all the capabilities, as I said, and then, of course, we went to the accountants and said, right, this is what we want to do, and this is how much money we have. And, of course, then there's a negotiation, because obviously you can't do everything that you want to do, but we put something together that looked really good. Now we've got the buy-in, now we've got an academy, but my goodness, we didn't have even what we're going to do. So what did we do? We put this together even again before we done it. This is what we said: to enable learning by facilitating meaningful personal development and to help individuals identify and achieve their personal potential. So we put this everywhere. We put it, this is what the whole training was going to be about. And now, what are we going to do? So it's probably worthwhile saying here that we started investigating every single aspect of training. And then, because I'm on the board of the PRCA and we sat there and looked at the PRCA, I think one of the most important things about training is the trainer has to walk the talk. No matter who's training, no matter how good they are, they will not be able to pass their knowledge on with any conviction or insight if they haven't done it. It's all very well having the theory and the practical, but what was brilliant about the trainers that we used was everybody had been in PR and they could talk about what happened when and how and what. Everybody really enjoyed it. And after all the training, when we had got it going, and we asked everybody afterwards, without exception, they came back and said, I enjoyed so-and-so talking about what happened then, or whether it was a crisis or this or that. And that really helped. Case studies, statistics, and information-based jargon is just not good enough. Second-hand information doesn't sound convincing. It has to be what happened. I remember years ago when I'd gone on a training course of time management. I thought, right, I get into the office and you know what you're all like. You're all going to be unbelievably organised. And I think my first phone call was from a client who got a strike and said, could you please jump on a train and come up and see me? So your training goes straight out the door. That's it, gone. So your time management. So the best trainer to me was someone who had a successful career, who's been there, done it, and someone who got the hands-on experience to do that. So now we have an academy. We went in with the PRCA. We put together all our things. We designed it for practitioners who are client-facing roles and who also have account management responsibilities. So anybody could join that had completed their probation period, obviously, that had a business objective set and had agreed their personal development plan with their line manager. That was really important, so we got everybody involved in. So we put everybody through it, even the introduction to PR. We put our receptionists through it, we put our production people through it, we put our HR people through it, because often you're bringing in people from other areas of expertise and they have no idea what the PR industry does. And it's really interesting or a bit scary when your receptionist said to you, oh, is that what you do? After they've done a morning's training of this is PR, you know, it's like, oh, interesting. So we did lots of things like pitching for win new business, writing, selling into the media, measurement, strategic. They were really, really important. And for those of you who went to the PRCA conference 2 weeks ago, the business editor from the BBC talked about the fact that an intern had sent him a hair product press release and then phoned to see how he was using it. And people giggled, but you know what? It's not funny anymore. I don't find that funny. I think we should be way past the fact where interns are just allowed to let loose and upset the BBC editor who you do need in your life, but not to send hair products. A, he has no hair, and B, he wasn't terribly interested about it. And even at our conference, he did make quite a big deal about it. He tried to be funny about it, but sometimes, I don't know, I think we've got past that. Well, I'd like to think we have, but we haven't. So there were 3 levels of membership. We did associate, and we tied it in with the PRCA, where 2 years and under, they had to get some points. Then there was the member, the mid-year, and then the fellow. Now, the one thing that was really important here was to keep the momentum going. So as we did it, we combined a whole pile of things. The PRCA events were the main thing that everybody had to attend 3. But we did webinars, we did breakfast, we did expert briefings, we did master classes, we did classroom training. When Gorkana had something, we encouraged people to go. They got points for that. They got points for networking. We also invited clients in to talk. We invite journalists in to talk. We have lunch and learns because hopefully amongst our staff we have some really good skills. So you'd have a day on someone who's going to talk about public affairs or engagement, and then we do that. So it was a completely round circle thing. We'd have people from the digital side, we'd have people creative, and all those added up to the points. But the one thing we had to keep going was the momentum. And we had a fantastic HR lady who continually sent out emails, updates, and everybody was really proud to be part of it. So we had 2 years that was really good, and how we ended it, of course, as one always does in PR, with a glass of champagne. So we had, we celebrated, we had the awards ceremony, the line managers came, the people who graduated came, had to get to certain points. Francis came, and some of the PRCA people came. So we made a big deal out of it, which was fantastic. And everybody was really proud about it. So it sent a sort of competitive spirit with us all. And you know what? If you're not competitive, then you're not in PR. We are competitive. We're competitive against each other. We're competitive against other agencies. We are always proud when we've done something really good for clients. So good PR people are competitive. So it was really good, and it was very exciting. But what happened was we did it for 2 years brilliantly, and then our head of HR, who was absolutely committed to this, went off and took a year's maternity leave. So our entire HR department changed. I'm sure Americans will faint when you know we get a year's maternity leave, but never mind. And the next thing that happened, of course, the momentum just went. You know, there wasn't the skill anymore. So the 3rd year we did it wasn't quite as good. But I'm glad to say that our head of HR is back. We got it really going again. Everybody signed up again, and we're going to start the momentum going again. But it's not easy. You've got to keep it going. You've got to keep it exciting. And I think the competitiveness goes. And then once they've got the certificate, everybody runs around with it and says, look what I've done. So for us, it was quite something. We went from 0 training to an academy So we didn't do it in half measures. You know, most people, I think, would start a little bit training here, a little bit there. Not us. We go literally hell for leather and did the whole thing. So all I can say is it was a great success. Listening to everybody today, I think this is where we're going to have to go as we bring in people with different disciplines, different training. But at the end of the day, they have to know what we do for a living. So this is what I went through. The level of talent, I think, will grow and grow and grow, and we really need. The resources are still going to be hard to get. We're going to have to learn to train people, move them up, push them on. We have insight. That's what we do. We have insight. We're an industry that operates with insights, so use it. And remember, it's never ending. Just because we tick one box, it will always carry on. And the words of one very famous person that you all know: train people well enough that they can leave, but treat them well enough so they don't want to. Thank you.